is Jordan. I'm the Assistant Director and Marketing Director here at Young Scholars. This is our Wisdom Whine YouTube series, and today we're going to talk about teacher burnout.
Hi, I'm Miss Michaela. I am a pre-K teacher and a child success advocate here at Young Scholars Academy.
Hi, I'm Miss Jen. I'm the Executive Director and gopher of all things.
Hi, I'm Marcia. I am the teacher in Infant A. I'm an infant toddler supervisor.
And so this episode is really about teacher burnout, right? Not only in the elementary field, but more specifically in the early education field. It's a lot faster, and we're going to go into detail about that in this episode. But if you have any questions or comments at the end of the episode, leave them and we will get back to you guys.
Okay, so teacher burnout. Teacher burnout is a thing. Director burnout is a whole other thing. Maybe we'll do another thing on that. ECE as a whole struggles with turnover. I mean, some centers, their turnover rate is something like 60% or something crazy. Like, there's people that just don't stay at all. There's been lots of things mentioned. Low wages. Some places require you to have a bachelor's degree, but pay, only like $1 more an hour above minimum wage. It's a stressful position. It's not something, if you don't have a desk job or whatever. I mean, those of us that love it, we love it because of that.
Job,
but we also, you struggle with, thinking about your kids on whether or not, they're going to get in trouble for what happened at school today, or did they eat? I know what's going on with his family, so there's a lot of emotional baggage that comes with this kind of work.
I think that's the biggest burnout, is emotion and not having a support to help guide you through those emotions. I think that's the biggest one.
The emotion is really big, so I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
like emotion is a really big piece, but teacher burnout, I feel an overall encompassing piece of it. It really has to do with your passion for what you're doing. So as a teacher, if you have the passion to continue to push forward no matter what, because you're going to work for these children, then sometimes you will keep going forward, but then your team plays a part of that. So depending on who your co-teachers are, who the parents are that you're dealing with every day. Sometimes it's a good day, sometimes it's not a good day.
Right.
Some people are not very good with dealing with all that different fluctuations and the emotional
They're not
piece.
good dealing with
It's hard for them. So that passion continues to drive it forward, but yet I think a lot of teachers will burn out because they don't feel like they're supported in their circle of other educators, but sometimes they don't ask for help.
I think
That's huge.
I think the biggest one with ECE, like she said, is the support. We're not thought of as teachers a lot of the time. I'll be I've had multiple conversations with people. Oh, I teach 4-year-olds. Oh, so you're a daycare provider. I teach 4-year-olds.
Right.
They don't see all that, and I would even say, 95% of pathways in the brain by 5?
Yeah, 95% of all brain development is before 5 years old.
So
we are the ones that
we are
changing the
shaping
world.
those minds, and not enough credit. So, like you said, these places requiring a bachelor degree, but then I'm having to defend what I do to these people that, that's what you do, that's your career. What do you plan on doing further?
What else
that's what I'm doing.
What else are you going to do? Are you going to school to do something else?
Yeah,
No, this is exactly what I do.
So I think that's where a big part of the burnout comes from, is that it's not thought to be this glamorous thing, and to me it is. But back to that emotional support.
But she also picked, Marcia said something really smart there. I mean, there's got to be an internal drive within you. I mean, I can think of many times that, first of all, let me back up. I'm crazy. But one, you have to have the internal drive, right? You have to be moving forward. But you also have to understand that real burnout isn't this sucks for a while. You can go through and have a really crappy week, or I'll joke with my husband and be like, you want to go raise some goats and live out on the farm because this crap is hard, That's not burnout.
No.
Burnout is when you're calling in sick, you want to stay asleep,
or you feel like you've asked for help sometimes and not in the right way maybe, and so you didn't have the right tools,
Right.
and
to
you didn't
move
get the
forward.
right receptive.
And you're frustrated.
Yeah, you get frustrated, and you just are like, oh, I'm done.
I'm
I
done.
don't even care.
I get that give up attitude is that burnout.
And that's the problem, because we're not asking the right questions. Because I feel like what Mick was saying, we don't feel like we're validated or appreciated as teachers.
Sure.
So then when you go to your colleagues, you're not really explaining what it is you truly need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if you don't really know.
That goes into the relationship piece. I mean, I think it's really important. I mean, you two specifically, I can say, because I have many years with both of you, and say that it's all part of relationship building too. You guys are two of the teachers that are like, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to do this for my whole life. I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care who doesn't understand it. I have a mission. I have a plan. I'm going forward. So sometimes with other coworkers, you're not met you're not met with love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so they're like, well, you're a know-it-all. Why don't you figure it out? And so you feel like
Very
you
true.
can't ask those questions.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like,
yeah.
wait, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. And then you get presented with something and you're like,
Yes.
holy crap.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
now I can't, and that's burnout too.
That
It
is
is.
burnout.
So-
And you know, that just goes with building that strong foundation as a team. I think.
So what are some instances you guys had that you haven't had your voice heard that you think other teachers are experiencing?
So, like, being child success advocate, a lot of time, she knows how to deal with it. And there's times where I don't know how to deal with the difficult behavior just because I have that background and that's more of my passion. I need help. So there's times where I'm like, oh my goodness, they expect an answer. And so without having somebody come and say, hey, it's okay not to have that answer, that burnout starts happening. I start questioning, okay, am I in the right position? Am I doing what's best for these children? Maybe I'm on the wrong track. Start questioning all my classroom management, like all these things, like, ooh.
Typical female behavior.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so
really,
like feeling overwhelmed or, hey, I'm not doing this right.
Well, do you think that maybe people get burnout because of that? Like, so you go to school. You have to be educated in early childhood to work in early childhood in the state of Colorado.
Yes.
So you take your classes, right? And you feel like you're excelling. You're doing really good. Like, I know what to do.
Right.
I'm gonna have the best
We're gonna
bulletin
go in there.
boards
We're gonna
on the planet.
Kill it.
And you go in and you have this kid and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But you don't ask because
you're afraid to be judged.
because you're afraid to be judged, or you're already judging yourself, and so the bitch in your head is like, you should know what you're doing.
Get it together.
And then you
Figure
just
it
go,
out,
you know
yeah.
what? Screw it. I'm gonna go work at Kohl's.
Right.
Like, I'm serious.
I had a moment like that, and then actually I was 2 centers in. I worked for 2 centers. At the time I was 17, going on 18 years old. I worked for one, I don't know if we're able to say names, but I worked for 2 different schools, and then by the time I got to the second one, I was at that point where I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Right.
I didn't like the management that I was working with. I felt like they were just, I was young, and they took advantage of me as far as like letting me work a long time when everybody else got to go home early, like very basic stuff in my mind as like an 18, 19-year-old.
Right.
And so I decided to leave the field altogether for all of 3 months. Because I was working at a call center.
You don't get to pick it.
I was working at a call center, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to do this. I hate this job.
Yeah.
This is not my personality.
No
this is
people,
not
no.
I cannot sit behind a desk and talk on the phone all day. That's just not my personality, and that's something I really learned about me. When we were talking about things that burn out teachers and how maybe this is affecting another teacher right now, it came to my mind, my personality and how I am, and what we're discussing as far as we go to all these classes, we take all these certifications, we have to have this portfolio of all this stuff showing how smart we are, right?
Yep.
And then we go into these classrooms and we are leaders, so we are meant to be leaders. But then we have teachers that are with us, and sometimes our personalities as being strong people, it can make them feel inferior, and not even on purpose. It's not like you're doing it on purpose. You're making them feel like they're not as smart as you, or they don't have as much
and they
knowledge
have
as you.
They have a bitch in their head too.
Yes.
So
And
that's really
there's-
hard
yeah.
to take.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's hard to take that, but I've gotten to the point where I've been that person. I'm like, I don't care how you feel. This is what we're gonna do. This is what State
I could say an example. This is Jordan behind the camera. I remember I washed my hands in the food sink one time in the info room, and Marsha was like, "Yeah, our sink's over there for the hand washing." I was like, she's right. And
Like, damn it.
and I was like, oh, okay, I see you. But it was right.
Want more of that in the early childhood field instead of not saying that and not advocating.
You can't get that without a support system.
I agree.
I think that's why. But let's be honest. We're here because that support's here.
Exactly.
I remember doing a concert once. I had to do this Christmas concert. The director never came, checked in, nothing. Like, I had this all planned, and I was like, hey, do you want to see? Do you want to put any input? Nothing. The day of the concert, she starts screaming because my kids can't sit down. We're doing the little drummer boy, and she's like, either you sit them down now, or I turn off the music. I have tons of parents. She's threatening me as I'm doing this. I'm trying to hold myself together and not just break down in tears. And I'm thinking, bitch, you had all this time to come give your input, and now is when
can I segue off into another thing? This is what's so great about Wisdom and Why. We should probably do like 3 things on this. But where's the support system for directors in early childhood? Who's supporting the supporters? You know?
I am.
But what I'm saying is those directors that act like that,
they just...
And I've acted like that. Like, I wouldn't say that extreme, especially with the kid part, because I'm like, I'm all kid 24/7. But I know that I've snapped at people, I've been short with people, I've been borderline aggressive, you need to get this crap done, because I've got somebody yelling at me to make sure that something gets done, and I feel like I have no support. You know, and I'm like, why the hell am I even doing this? Like, nobody's even listening to me. Like, I felt like that before.
Yeah.
And that's a real burnout.
I felt like that, not recently, but I felt like that. And then this is my growth piece. When you have that teacher that's not beneath you, but they feel as though maybe the bitch in their head is saying that they're beneath you. I learned at this point in my life that those teachers, they just need that support. They need somebody to just reassure them, like, hey, I really like how you are really knowledgeable in this. We both have strengths and we both have weaknesses. They're just like us as people. We don't like to be felt like we know nothing. No one likes that.
Sure.
But we also don't want to be felt like or treated as though we know everything.
It's right. You don't have all the answers either.
It's got little middle balance. And like even myself and my co-teacher, like in the beginning, we had ourselves as fat. Like a little conversational piece of, so you think you know so much? Oh, you think you know so much?
Those are my favorite.
You think that you are so great in breastfeeding and all this stuff? Well, you think you're so great in health and safety? Okay, well, guess what? We're going to have ourselves a conversation.
But those conversations we don't empower enough at times to have those.
We had that conversation, and with that, though, we both were able to come to a conclusion of, guess what? You are stronger than I am in this area. You're stronger than I am in this area. Let's put our strengths together. We are unstoppable.
So do you think that
and that's really what we've come to.
My mind's all over the place now. So my mind is all over the place with that. But I think sometimes, and I know I feel this way as a director, and I'm going to admit it, like wherever this goes out on YouTube. Some people, I don't feel like you want to invest in that much because you don't feel like they're hearing you. You're arguing with your co-teacher, and you're like feeling like, but she's just as passionate as you, and so that's why you were able to go, you know what, okay, I'll invest in you. But if you throw things out to people,
have that fight.
And as a director, I know I feel this way. If I throw things out to a teacher and I'm trying to connect and I barely get a hi in the hallway, I'm done.
I think across the board, any position like that, exactly. I don't know how many times it's that relationship, that building of the fight. You've got to want to fight.
You got to
make that
difference. Somebody else,
and you've got to acknowledge that passion, and also realize that those passions can come together and change lives. I think that is a prime example of, if somebody's going to be like, okay, she didn't let me do the lesson plan, so I didn't even try. All right, deuces, like, I got this.
Right.
So I think when they do give that fight back, especially for like the know-it-alls, that you're like, oh,
so
okay.
all right, let's See, what I really think is like
yeah.
you're here for the kids.
Yeah.
That's what you're here for.
And
so
yourself.
me and you're here for yourself.
yourself.
Yes, but I mean, we all are doing something in life for ourselves. But in this particular field, I really would like to believe that the person I'm standing beside of,
Is
all
here for
the
the
teachers
kids.
that I'm with on this journey with are here for these children. And so if I can have a spat with you or a discussion, a heated discussion about something that has to do with our classroom
Conversation.
environment,
Yes.
then that is what's most important to me because that
Especially
means
if
that
it's
it
for the
matters.
betterment of all.
Exactly.
You know, I completely
Yep.
agree with that. The only thing that I would say different with that is like I feel like I'm here for me just as much as I'm here for kids, and I even more feel like I'm here for teachers, honestly, because I don't work one-on-one with the kids as much anymore unless I
can see
rile
that.
them up and give them something they shouldn't have or whatever. But I think building your legacy as a teacher and as an educator is just as important as parent communication. I mean, I feel like that's all
That's a
part of
growth.
it, you know,
That's a part
it
of the
is,
growth.
it's part of it.
But it's funny you say that parent communication because I also think that's a big one. You know, having a director that's like, okay, I hear you as a parent, but here's where the teacher's coming to. I think that's a big burnout because as directors, you guys get a lot of that, hey, yada yada, you know, was doing this, the daily sheet wasn't filled out at this time, so-and-so doesn't have their blanket on the playground and they're crying, and you're like,
I could write a book.
right,
Like,
but
more stuff.
But I think you guys run, admin runs very good interference there to prevent that
That's the part.
burnout.
That's
That
the part.
burnout, because at times if you get 4 of those in a day, you're just like,
Well,
I'm not doing anything.
honestly, I mean, we have a really good team, I think, for one.
Yeah.
And for two, a lot of the stuff is just they're seeing a snapshot of something. It's kind of like when I walk around, I'll walk in the info room, and I swear to God, every time a baby just fell asleep. And I'm like, hey, you know, and they're like, damn it. You know, like, and so parents kind of get that too. I mean, and really, I've learned for doing this for freaking eons. A lot of times when a parent's complaining about something, there's another route that's being
There's
taken
a
back
back
to.
problem.
Either somebody's sick, or they're going through a divorce,
Or
or
something's
they're
going on
uber exhausted because they
financially.
just had a baby, or something
It's
else
a
is going
different
on
cry
there.
for help.
So a lot of times they just need to talk, and sometimes having that conversation with them, like totally what they thought they were mad about with the teacher, they're not really,
Right,
and
right.
it just goes away.
Can I just? Oh.
Okay, I was gonna say, how do you guys go back and do?
So what I've learned for myself over the last several years in my growth is in order to combat my teacher burnout and me leaving one place, going to another place. Maybe it was the admin, maybe it was the way I felt like I worked with a co-teacher. I really just took it back to myself. I really had to take self-reflection and like, am I really taking care of what Marcia needs in order to give what I need to give to those around me?
You know, a lot of people do that. A lot of people in the ECU feel that's really good that you brought that up. I mean, I know your story. So sometimes people go from center to center because they feel like, well, maybe it's that, or maybe it's the admin, maybe it's the teacher, and really you're just trying to refuel your flame when you're kind of burnt out. And so they're doing the dance, you know, around the centers, and they're not finding that true spiritual awakening that comes about when you're like really into teaching. I mean, that really soul thing. And the only way to do it is to reach within yourself. Support is great. You need, I don't need, it's great to have good support.
See, I
think
me
that some people-
personally, faith, the belief that, hey, you got this, you can do this, which goes back to the sport. Truly, like, Dottie and I always say, well, dang, I want a gold star. Like, sometimes we just need to hear it, or just need that gold star to know, hey, you got
Everybody
this.
wants to hear it, for sure.
Yeah, so I truly think my biggest, why I've been here so long, why I have such a passion for it now, like, I can honestly say, partly self-reflection, partly somebody believed in me for who I was. Not, hey, this is what a teacher should look like. This is how a teacher
That's
should
huge.
sound. I'm a very loud person. We joke about it all the time. But I wasn't knocked down for being loud here. That was embraced. That was, hey, she's loud. Let's get it. This room's bumping. Like, and I think without that support and self-reflection, I would never have got that
I
true
agree with
passion.
that. I totally
so
agree with that.
that even more than
Yeah.
support, it was the belief that no, this
It's okay
is
to be
you.
you. Yeah.
This is you,
Well,
and
when you
this
think
is
about it, Mick, I mean, think about that. Like, one of the reasons why I embraced that is because I was that teacher too. I was always getting in trouble, like, that bitch has worms in her classroom. Like, what is going on, you know?
Right.
So I know that was really frowned upon. So I just love when people come in and I would hear all the time calling on references. You don't want that one.
Yep.
To me, that is the most exciting piece
Yeah,
of getting a
but-
new teacher
You
is
like-
if they drove their old director crazy because I'm like, ooh, Play-Doh. Like, I can
Right, yeah.
totally work with this teacher. Like,
Yeah.
totally work with this teacher. But I think that it's good to be embraced. It's good to know that it's okay to be who you are. I think one of the biggest pieces being a director, at least for me, is like, keep it simple, dude. Like, it's just like a classroom. You guys are not children. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, you're gonna support your kids in being whatever they want to be. Okay, you're really mad, you're really upset. Let's talk about. Same with a 30-year-old. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Some teachers need from me the formal sit down and here's where you are on your employee plan and whatever, where I can go. Yesterday
Yeah.
we had a conversation that was just like, it was 2 minutes long, it was impactful,
Yep.
it was meaningful, and it fueled her again. Boom. Done. That's all I have to do
Yep.
over here. And so you just
investing in who we are. Yeah. So advocate for yourself. Speak up for yourself. Like she said, directors need just as much support, especially if it's it's a new director.
Oh,
that could be
poor
just
thing.
as scary for them.
Poor thing. Call me.
Right? It could be just as scary
help
for
you.
them.
Let me
So
help you.
you gotta sort of say what you need at times. Like she said, some need that formal sit down. Some need a quick chit chat. If I don't get to chit chat with her 2 minutes once a month, I'm like, so you have to advocate
Once a month.
right?
Once a week.
I need a weekly. You got to advocate what your needs are to avoid that burnout. You got to self-reflect. Is it your center? Is it you? Is this your passion? It really isn't
Yeah,
for
well, that's
everybody.
the big thing. Check
It
yourself.
really
Is it
isn't
really
for
what you wanna
everybody.
do? Yeah.
You got to really ask those questions, but the biggest thing, advocate for yourself.
Well, I mean, I think of it like this. If you are a teacher and you feel like in your bones, this is what you want to do, my advice to you is, if you're going to sit down and have that self-reflection, really think about yourself. If you're thinking about your children and their families, are they being raised by grandparents? Are they being raised by their parents? Are they in a single-family household? If you think about your childhood, how you grew up, all those things actually do take a play when you are a teacher. And some of that, for myself, I'm about to be 33 years old this year, it's hitting now. You know, it's like, okay, now I get it. Now I see a lot of these things, I didn't have those conversations. I didn't get that type of support. So in the beginning, I just was here for the kids because I loved to receive all that love.
An internal drive, Marcia, that not a lot of everybody has.
Maybe everybody, they don't. That's why I'm trying to share something with them that maybe they wouldn't still keep going and bouncing from
Right.
place to place and trying to refuel that on their own. They would just give up altogether
or
and
stay in it and be miserable.
miserable. So
Life's too short for that.
so
Right, it's too
yeah,
short for that.
if you see a sparkle in the children's eyes as well as in your heart when you do something, then maybe this is for you. But as far as combating the burnout, you have to really look at yourself. Is this something that gives me joy? Is it something that I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm going in and I'm making a difference?
Not a job.
If you don't
Yeah,
feel
right,
that
not
way,
a job,
you know,
right.
if you don't feel that way and you don't feel that way and you go to your director or you go to your colleagues and you go to other teachers or you see this on YouTube or wherever and you really feel like you don't have any answers, then maybe it's not for you.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
that's- you know?
and really do the field a favor and leave.
Yeah,
I
because
I don't
Yeah.
mean that in a rude
And
way.
it's-
I'm just saying,
right?
just because
No.
you went to school to do it and you got into a classroom, and
It's
went,
not
"Holy
too late
crap,"
to change.
It's not too late
It's
to
not.
change,
That's
and
it. Maybe
it's
it's not
way
for
too
you.
important for children
To
to
not
do
have
it
somebody
right.
that loves
Yes.
loves
Exactly.
it.
So
You
if
gotta
it's not
love
for
it.
you, it's not for you. And we just have to be honest with ourselves with that. Because what you do affects those around you.
Yeah.
So do something
Yeah.
that makes you happy, something that brings you joy,
Yeah.
something that brings joy to others.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be taking up this space from another teacher that would be more than happy to
Sure.
be able to plant seeds
And
for that
doing
child.
it for you, like she said, self-reflection. Also, taking time for you. She says because I'm horrible at that. I've learned in the past months to combat ruts. I go in ruts. Like I've been
Everybody
at
goes
this.
in
Yeah,
ruts.
I've been at this for 10 years.
Yeah.
But I've gone at ruts, and it's because I haven't taken, you know, a half hour, an hour for me.
I used to schedule this girl an hour-long break and then another half-hour break, just so she would like, because the first hour was like, my kids, I have to go be with my kids, and I have to follow up on this. And I was like, no, I'm giving you another half an hour so you can actually calm down.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to find that
So
time
cool.
for you, because you will burn out. Because no matter how much your passion is and your heart's for it, you still got to take care of
Yep.
you.
Yep.
A big experience
yeah,
in that, and that's
so.
that's a good one, guys. For real.
Another way to combat it is margaritas. Sometimes,
Wine.
yeah, wine. Merlot, I suggest a Merlot. Moscato, maybe.
I'm a Moscato.
Yeah. Moscato and Merlot mixed together.
There's that. And I also think there's something really, really important. I mean, when you get together as a group, a lot of teachers end up like becoming friends and hanging out together all the time, and they end up talking ECE and doing ECE. One of my biggest joys in my whole life is my best friend who knows absolutely nothing about early childhood, knows nothing about, well, I mean, she had a kid. He's okay, he's 30, so, I mean, she knows enough, but I mean, as far as the field, the ins and outs of it, the legislation, all of that, she knows nothing. Get yourself a best friend that knows nothing about early childhood, because we live it and breathe it so much that, you know, sometimes our husbands, significant others are like, do you talk about anything?
But what did you do in class today? And what your lesson plan's going to be tomorrow?
Or you come home and you're like, hey, what are we having for dinner? Hi, you don't have 24 4-year-olds right now.
Or when you
don't
tell
have
your
this
dog,
loud.
Norman, I think you should make a safer choice.
Yes, or you
Or
tell
you
your
go
husband
to
you're going
the
potty.
You gotta go to potty. That's the number one.
You're going
That's the
what?
number one.
Or you want to cut up their meat. You know,
Right.
you want to miss so there's no choking.
We're missing a vegetable.
Yes. I actually for my Chihuahua, I took my Chihuahua's toys. And I put some of them up because I said it was better for his brain development to play with some toys, and then I would rotate them later.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, live and breathe it.
So, yeah, and laughing I
Yes.
think is a really important way to combat burnout. And also, please listen. Burnout is more than just I'm having a crappy week. Every day in ECE is not joyful. I would say many times here at our center, it's a good day. You know,
Yes,
you don't go home
majority.
crying like I used to.
Majority,
You know what I mean?
majority is,
Flexible.
yes.
But it's still
there's
tough.
still days.
It's still tough.
And it's exhausting. It is an exhausting.
The full moon comes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Mercury.
Teachers know.
What was it?
Mercury
Retrograde?
goes
I
into
was like,
retrograde. There's supernovas. The kids are off the chain.
I can't come in today.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
But Mercury is still worth it though.
Jupiter's-
I told you that was like, we did it. We accomplished it. We made it.
Right.
So that's even better.
I told my still agers Jupiter lost its rings.
Oh, Lord. So, real quick, to wrap up, it's important to have bennies for your teachers, free childcare, vision, medical, simple IRAs,
That is
all that kind
nice.
of stuff is really important. Make it happen. You can make it happen. I guarantee you. Snacks in the break room go a long
love the
way.
snacks.
Like, they go a long, long
We're pretty
way.
greedy.
Meet your teachers where they are. Take the
Food.
time to have the relationships with them if they're willing to have them with you. You know, my best relationships with teachers is where they met me halfway. Don't expect your director to go out of her way or his way to make sure to come and find you in the classroom. You are grown and you are educated. You can meet your director halfway, you know, and have a conversation. And that's when burnout is less.
Yeah, I agree with you because people aren't mind readers.
Yeah.
Right.
My crystal ball is broken.